Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be learning how to use LLMs to code a tool that can capture our style of writing essays and generate text in our writing style. Now, before we start, I do want to ask you guys to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel since we're really close to 200 subscribers. Before diving into the world of AI and language models, we do need to have the right tools. So our first step installs essential libraries that are going to help us talk to and train our AI models. So first we're going to install transformers, and if you're wondering what transformers is, it's basically a library that provides thousands of pre-trained models to perform whatever tasks we want. And of course, since it uses a part of PyTorch, we're going to be installing that as well. Now, our next step is to set up the model as well as the tokenizer. So here we're getting our AI model GPT-2 ready for action, and you can think of the tokenizer as a librarian that's basically organizing books, or in our case these words, and the model as the brain that's going to learn from and generate new essays. So we're basically preparing our data which we'll use to train our model. After we have like the preparation done, what we're going to do is we're going to initialize our essays, because of course the whole point of this tool or this project is that the AI will learn from our essays and our creative style and how we write these essays, and it's basically going to try to mimic that in its own outputs. So in this part, you're giving the AI your own essays to learn from, and it's kind of like showing someone your diary so they can get to know you better, and then these essays will help the AI capture your writing style. So let's just run this. For example, here I have some of the essays that I've written in the past, and let me just run this cell. Right now we're using 3 essays. We'll put in more data to the AI later, but this gives us a good point of comparison to see how well it does. Now, in cell 5, we're going to be preparing the actual essays. So here what we're going to do is we're going to chop up the essays into bite-sized pieces so that the AI can understand and work with it. And this process is known as tokenization. And another part of this process is that we have to make sure each piece is kind of nicely padded up so that they all fit together when the AI is learning. This is really, really crucial for the AI to learn in an optimal way. Now, our 6th cell here, what we're going to do is we're going to create a data set. So now that we're organizing our tokenized essays into a neat data set, it's kind of like sorting out your notes before a big study session, because organization is really important, especially in training an AI model, because it makes it easier for the AI to learn from them and to even test this knowledge later on. So we're going to use train test split, but that's really just for prepping the data and getting it in the format that we want. Again, the test size here is really small. Now let's run this. Okay, so now that that's done, we can move on to kind of the main part here, which is training the AI. So this step is where the large language model starts learning from your essays and training itself to write just like you. It's going to go through the essays, learning and getting better thanks to the exercises that we set up here. Again, this is really important for it to actually understand how you write, because for that, it needs to first read your essays and then finally it can deduce how you write them and basically your style. Okay, so it seems to have been completed, and now let me just kind of break down the cell even more. So here we're using training arguments and trainer itself. So the trainer thing is it's pretty straightforward. I'll explain it in a little bit, but first let me explain the training arguments and all of the parameters that go inside of it. So when we're training our model, the first thing that comes up here is the output directory. You can think of this as a folder where your AI model's homework gets stored, because after learning from the essays, the model needs a place to save all of its knowledge, and this is where it's saved, just to like organize it. And next, this part's really important, the epochs. Basically, in machine learning, epochs are the number of cycles or iterations that the model goes through when it's learning your data, is when it's learning from your data. And so this is basically telling your AI model how many times to read through all the essays that you've given it, just to kind of comprehend the concepts even more. Usually I started out with 3 epochs, but I've kind of found out that 10 is more optimal. This thing took me about more than 3 minutes to carry out. So again, the more epochs you add, the more time it's going to take. I wouldn't recommend having a number that's too high, but this is what works best for me. And these parameters are you're just feeding your essays at not all of them can be fed at once, right? So you're feeding them like step by step in batches, and so we're defining these batch sizes right here. And these the warm up steps, for example, when you start exercising, you're slowly beginning to warm up, and the AI needs to do this as well, just for it to kind of calibrate its system and get stuff going. Now, basically, now that we're done with the training arguments, inside the trainer, it's pretty straightforward. The model itself is the variable that we had assigned earlier of the actual model that we're going to be using. And then the arguments, again, are all the game, it's basically the game plan. It's all the arguments and parameters that we're giving to the model right here. And then we're just setting up the databases. We're just telling the AI model what to actually learn from. And now that it's done training all 10 epochs, it basically has all this knowledge. Now we just need to extract that knowledge and get it to generate something in our style. And that's what the last cell right here is for. So now that we're moving on to generating new essays, we're going to be defining a prompt. So the prompt that I chose is like pretty random. It's just write a formal essay about the pros and cons of social media. I just want to see what it outputs here. And so we can basically ask our AI model to write an essay on any topic using everything that it's learned from my writing. Uh, and so now after defining the input IDs that we got from the tokenizer, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna set the output arguments. Here it's pretty straightforward as well. The max length, this is in characters. This is the amount of tokens that we want it to, because we don't want it to generate too much, but we want it to be like a full coherent essay, which is usually about like this size. And then the temperature, like I mentioned in my LLM video, it basically dictates how random or how diverse a response from an AI is. If a temperature, it's on a scale of 0 to 1, so a temperature of 1 would be like the highest. It would basically mean that the AI is just spewing out random stuff. And a temperature that's really low, like 0 or 0.1, that would mean that it's really restricted. This can also be bad in some cases because it could just keep repeating the same stuff over and over again. But again, we have another argument right here to stop it. The reason I set the temperature to this value, as well as the top K and top P, which are basically also dictating the diversity of the words versus the randomness. The reason I set it to these values is because I found this kind of helps generate a more balanced response from the AI. And after that, we're just going to get the generated text ready, kind of format it, and now we can finally run the cell. Alright, so now that that's done running, we can finally take a look at the essay that the GPT-2 has generated for us. So it says the following essay is a good starting point for a social networking essay, and now that we can basically read through this essay and kind of pinpoint like a lot of errors, but that's not really our goal here. Our goal is to kind of understand if it comprehends my writing style, and right now I can kind of see where it's coming from, but it's still not that accurate. And the only real way to solve this is to add more training data. And since I've only added 3 of my essays, now I'm gonna add 10 and see how that works out. Alright, so now I've updated my list of essays, and as you can see, we now have 10 essays that the AI can learn from. Now let's run the trainer again. Now that we're done training the model, as well as giving it a prompt to generate text from, it's finally given us an essay that looks much more coherent, and it does look a lot like my essay, and I'm afraid it might be due to overfitting, which is a phenomenon where the AI model kind of goes through your data too much and it kind of memorizes it a little bit. And the only solution to that would be to bring down the number of epochs so that the AI could kind of add a little bit more of its creativity. But it does look really good. And I think it has captured my writing style pretty well. So that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If it taught you how to code your own LLM, your essay writer tool, then don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, as well as share the video with your friends. So that was it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.